Welcome to another episode of Stupid People Talk Sports. As always, I'm here with X and Joe. And this episode, we're going to recap the first round of the playoffs, Super Wildcard Weekend, as they call it in the NFL, just because they had one more game. I think it's kind of stupid and redundant, but it is what it is. So obviously, we saw some blowouts. We saw some final games, and the hearts and souls of a lot of fans were destroyed. I think mainly New England fans were probably the ones the most upset with the past weekend. But let's start with the first game of the weekend. Saturday, it was the Bengals versus the Raiders. It was a pretty good game, surprisingly. I think we all thought it was going to be more favored in the Bengals. Well, you guys did. I even said the Bengals were probably going to end up blowing out the Raiders, even though I picked the Raiders. But it ended with 26-19 for the Bengals. And we also saw Joe Burrow with some pretty slick shades after. What did you guys think of the game? What did you see? Highs, lows?
I mean, I think this game pretty much went as expected. You know, the Bengals starting off hot, Raiders fighting back hard, but kind of just didn't have enough time left. Kind of just couldn't pull it out in the end. I think the Bengals made I don't think the Bengals made a statement win or anything. I think most people knew the Bengals were going to win or expected the Bengals to win, but they did come out hot. They did look good. So I'm excited to see how they move forward in the next round.
Yeah, no, Bengals did. They look good. They definitely look good. But yeah, the Bengals definitely came out hot. I think the Raiders kind of choked it at the end. I think Derek Carr should retire after that final throw attempt he had, because it was like he was playing Madden and he was just like, "Oh, I'm just gonna thread the needle for an unrealistic touchdown catch." Joe, what did you think about the game?
I think it was more telling as to what the Raiders are right now as to what the Bengals are. I think the Bengals were good, and I know we're going to get to the picks for the divisional round here in a moment. But I didn't think the Bengals were all that impressive. I obviously love Joe Burrow. I think he's awesome. But I thought they were just okay. You know, I think that's what they are right now. They're still so young. High ceiling. You never know. They could have a game where Burrow throws for 5 touchdowns. You never know any week. But I think with the Raiders, the fact that they don't have any weapons in the field. I mean, you got a hobbled Darren Waller who can't stay healthy this year. Josh Jacobs actually run the ball pretty efficiently, but I don't know. They couldn't get anything established because they were down the whole game. But I think it's just more. It just shows more of what the Raiders don't have as opposed to what the Bengals have. And the Raiders, if you give them a legitimate number one that doesn't go speeding and killing people, then I think that they could legitimately be a decent team in the AFC. I think they're built well. They got a good front seven, and the Bengals played well enough to win, and the Raiders were just overmatched. That's all it was. They don't have enough weapons out there right now, but they'll get there. They'll take time. There's some good weapons from the draft.
Yeah, no, the Raiders definitely had a tough season. They had to overcome a lot of stuff between different players, like top players being forced to release them for obvious reasons. Head coach changes for obvious reasons. A lot of stuff went on with the Raiders, and yeah, it seems like they have a bright future. They destination that people will love to go to, so it shouldn't be hard for them to get free agents now, especially being in Vegas. And like they made the playoffs this year, so they have a lot of stuff going for them. Moving forward though, unfortunately, our hometown boys went out to Buffalo and got embarrassed. But I think we all saw them losing. I don't think we saw them losing by this much. Obviously, we would have liked it to be a better game. And there's a lot of things that are up in the air for the future with certain defensive players. Will they be returning to the team? Will we re-sign them? Some coaching situations. But for the most part, I think Mac Jones, good first year. Appreciate the season he had. But dude, the Bills, are they on their way to the Super Bowl? Was I jokingly laughing about how the Bills are going to go to the Super Bowl? Is that potentially going to actually happen? Joe, we'll kick it off with you.
Yeah, I mean, the Bills look sharp. As bad as the Patriots were, the Bills were on their game and ready to go. I think the winner of this Kansas City Buffalo game will probably go to Super Bowl. I don't think Cincinnati or Tennessee can beat them. But because those are the two best quarterbacks remaining in the AFC and two of the best remaining in the entire playoffs right now. But the Patriots did not come out to play. They look flat. I've never seen that from a Belichick coach team. I thought the game would be the defense keeping it close and then the offense not being ready for the moment. But I actually don't put much blame on the offense. I think the offense did what they could in the game. I mean, if you told me the Patriots scored 17 points on Friday night, I would be like, yeah, they probably lost by like 6, 7. It's a cold night. The Buffalo's not going to kill the Patriots, but they lost by 30. So I'm not really sure to think. I think the Patriots need a more experienced defensive coordinator and not the collective minds of Steve Belichick, who looks very interesting out there, especially when his tongue's out with the mullet in there. And then Gerard Mayo, who's still so young in his coaching career. He just retired like 5 years ago. He's been, like a linebackers coach on the Pats. So that we obviously need a better defensive coordinator here just to kind of reel things in. You need to get more speed. But the Bills looked amazing, and I can't wait for Sunday night. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I mean, everything you said, I kind of agree with. I think Mayo, isn't he up for a head coaching option in Houston? I think they're looking at him.
He's the number one right now.
Yeah, so unfortunately, he's probably going to be walking out because, again, why would you pass up a head coaching option, even especially at this low point in your career for coaching? Might as well just take it. No one has high expectations for you. You're probably going to go in there and they're going to expect you to not win more than 5 games for the next couple of years, especially if they don't have a QB, because currently they don't. But yeah, I agree with almost everything you said there, Joe. X, what are your thoughts on this tough game for the Patriots, but amazing game for the Bills?
It was disappointing to see. It was very disappointing to see. Honestly, I think we didn't even. All right, so that first drive, our first drive, I think that was an amazing first drive. Mac Jones was putting something together like very well, and then that Micah Hyde interception basically changed the entire game. Like he literally ripped an entire touchdown from us, and then the Bills just never looked back. They just came out.
Great throw, honestly.
What's up?
I thought it was a great throw. It was just a better defensive play.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, he absolutely snagged that. Like I don't think Mac Jones could have made it like more of a perfect throw, but he just snagged it. So I think that changed the entire game. I mean, obviously the defense looked terrible from start to finish. So I mean that's what happens when you play in a high-powered offense and you have just in the middle. I think we got to get some younger linebackers. And then I still have very high hopes for this team. The fact that they made the playoffs this year is one thing. So let's see what happens next year.
Most of the stuff you're saying, I definitely agree with, especially very disappointing with the Patriots that last game. And the interception that definitely caused like a big turnaround when that happened. I think that was like, as a fan watching it, I saw that happen and it was like in my head, I was like, this game's over. When they made that, I was like, it's over.
I was like, when you caught that, I was like, that's
yeah.
like the fourth play right there, and you're making them the second drive of the game.
Yeah, no, I was like, what a touchdown. I was literally like, what a play by Mac Jones. Like, this is going to propel us to like potentially win this game. And then I like saw Hyde just go in, and I was like, oh my God, he's about to make one of the best picks of the postseason in the freaking first round, Super Wildcard Weekend. And I was like,
second drive of the game.
Yeah, I was like, I think that was the point where I was like, the Bills might actually go to the Super Bowl. The Bills might actually win the Super Bowl. I mean, like, let's be real. Huge momentum swing for them. Beating your rival team that's always just destroyed you year in, year out. For your first playoff win, that shows like you're on top of the world. Like that's like, it's not just a big win for like in terms of like this postseason, but it's a big win for their franchise, and it's a big like confidence win, which they'll need going into the next game. But let's move forward to our next game that we're gonna recap. Another blowout, not as bad, surprisingly. was the Buccaneers versus the Eagles. I didn't really watch much of this game. All I know is Tom Brady's doing Tom Brady things. And he is older than all the other coaches left in the NFC. So that's kind of shocking. But Tom Brady's doing Tom Brady things. X, since we ended with you, we'll just keep it going with you, and we'll have you give your thoughts first.
I mean, I'm not really surprised how this game went. I think the Bucs were obviously the better team. Eagles, they had a nice season. They do have a bright future. I think at least one of those 3 first-round draft picks next year is going to be a big hit, I think. So, I mean, honestly, I think the Eagles might find themselves in a similar situation next season, kind of find for a push for the playoffs. Hopefully, if they do make it, they'll have the power and the skills to beat a team like a Buccaneers. But, I mean, this season wasn't really a surprise for me that's how this game ended. So, that's just me.
Yeah, I don't think we were that surprised with this one. Joe, what are your thoughts on this game?
I won't spend like you guys. I won't spend too much time on it. I mean, the Bucs were just better than them in every facet of the game. I mean, the Eagles scored the 2 garbage time touchdowns at the end of the game just to kind of make it interesting. Like, was it 31-0? Was that the actual score of the game at one point? Yeah. So, I forget, but the Bucs were just way better, and you knew it going in. Everyone knew. I think the Eagles would keep it a little closer, but good season for the Eagles. It's a good stepping point. It's kind of like what the Patriots are at right now. They hopefully found their quarterback. They got an alpha receiver. I mean, Devontae Smith's going to be really good. And they've got to build the defense. They got to get Jalen Hurts an offensive line. So it's the deep defense and O-line draft. So they'll continue to improve. But the Buccaneers were just better, and I don't think anyone's surprised by that.
Yeah, no, Buccaneers were definitely just way better. So that will bring us to our second best game, I'd say, of the entire wildcard weekend, which was kind of an upset game, I think, for most people that were watching this. 49ers versus Cowboys. And I think if you're a Cowboys fan, you might actually be more pissed off than Patriots fans were, especially with the way that game ended. Joe, we'll just run it with you because I know that pretty sure I think we all picked the Cowboys. Do we all pick the Cowboys here?
X pick San Fran.
X pick San Fran. Good for you, X. So Joe, we'll start with you since you picked the Cowboys.
So I was disappointed by how they came out and played. They did not look sharp at all. The Niners looked like the better team. If before the season started and this matchup happened, I would have thought it would been the opposite. San Fran 3, Dallas 6, something kind of ridiculous like that. But because I thought San Fran would be better to start the year. But yeah, this was disappointing if you're a Cowboys fan. I think it's really funny. I always love watching Stephen A. just shit all over the Cowboys. It's so funny. But yeah, it's gonna be a long off season. Are they gonna fire Mike McCarthy? Nothing's happened yet. I mean, there's a lot of decisions to be made. They got the correct nucleus in play. Maybe it's time to go get a better receiver. Maybe let Gallup walk. I don't know. I'm not really sure what the Cowboys can do. It might just be out of the defense because they couldn't stop much with the run game other than the end of the game. Parsons is the centerpiece of that defense, as he should be. Trayvon Diggs is overrated. You can't give that many yards and be considered an all-pro. I think it's a little ridiculous that he was the corner there. But regardless, San Fran, props where it's due. Great game by them. I think they'll give the Packers a nice little game here on Saturday. But yeah, San Fran, great game. Dallas, disappointing, and you suck.
Yeah, terrible decision at the end of that game. But I think Dak Prescott might have the play of the weekend. It's not even on the field. I think his press conference might have been the best thing that happened all weekend. But we're gonna move forward and we're gonna talk about another blowout game and a game where we all say bye to one of the legends in the sport, Big Ben, as he got his ass handed to him in a game that X almost predicted the score. It was 42-21. Chiefs. X, since you almost predicted the score, what do you think about this? Wait, X, we didn't even talk about you and the Cowboys. Did, X, what do you have to say about the Cowboys? I'm sorry. I was just so distracted by the Cowboys being terrible. What are your thoughts on the Cowboys?
I'm not gonna sit here and say I expected the Cowboys to choke this game. Like I expected them to be bad and expect them to absolutely choke this game because to the end of the game, the 49ers gave them almost every single chance to steal this game away from them, and they just couldn't do it. The fact that Jimmy Garoppolo threw an absolutely terrible interception that should have basically just had the Cowboys walk down and take the lead at least, I believe. That was, and they couldn't. That was just terrible. It was absolutely terrible. I was honestly like, and I feel bad for Cowboys fans this time around. I feel really bad for them because it was funny. It was just funny to see them absolutely choke this game away.
No, I mean, especially the ending to that game. It was just kind of completely embarrassing to see them decide to run the ball there and not be able to get the play off. Just not even be able to get the spike off. It's like that's how your season's gonna end. It's kind of heartbreaking.
Like, and everybody's like, "Oh, the refs got in the way, or the refs are terrible." It's like you don't know that you have to give the ref the ball after your play is over. Like, come on.
I think the Cowboys just simply delayed the inevitable. Like they were gonna have to play Tom Brady next, and then Aaron Rodgers if you somehow beat Tom Brady. They were gonna get throated. like it's like the Cowboys were the equivalent of like killing the deer you hit in the side of the road. Like just you're putting it out of its misery. Like you were gonna lose eventually, except it'd be more heartbreaking. At least you maybe got that monkey at your back and you won a game. Like, oh, we might have a chance to go to the conference championship. No, yeah, I mean like. The Niners just came in and outplayed you. Like you deserve to lose. You weren't going to win the Super Bowl.
No, they definitely weren't going to the Super Bowl. But like, it just still to lose like that, the way they did, to have it end the way it did, it's tough. It's tough to be a fan if you're. It just must be tough. It must be tough being a Cowboy fan these days. But let's move on. We already introed it. Steelers, Chiefs. Big Ben's done. The whole Steelers team, honestly, they should just decide to get rid of half those TikTokers and start anew. X, let's go with you here since we almost skipped over your input on the Cowboys 49ers.
I mean, I did expect the Chiefs to absolutely demolish the Steelers. I was actually pretty close with that prediction about I think Mahomes almost having 500 yards and 5 touchdowns, and them having almost 50 points. And so, I mean, I pretty much expected it. Honestly, I think their slow start is concerning, though, especially for next week against the Bills. I think if they start off that slow again, it's going to be a completely different outcome. So.
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, the score doesn't really justify their start because they kind of poured it on towards like after they got the ball rolling. It was like just a faucet that was leaking and then exploded. But Joe, what are your takeaways from this game?
I might be the minority here, but for the first quarter and a half, I was extremely impressed by the Pittsburgh Steelers. You could tell that they are actually a quarterback, like a competent quarterback. And I'm not insulting Big Ben. I just think he's done. I think everyone kind of noticed that he's done. But they're like a quarterback away that can make big time throws and can like get outside the pocket a little bit, away from actually being a pretty good team. Like they did shut down the Chiefs for a little bit, but it's discouraging after a little bit when you keep shutting them down and the offense can't get anything going, and you're sitting there like, oh my god, we got to come out again. They went 3-0 again. Like I feel like that's discouraging on the defensive side of the ball. The defense really couldn't get any momentum for themselves, and then I mean, because it was 7-0 Steelers, like almost midway through the second quarter. And then I saw the stat that Mahomes threw 5 touchdowns in the next 12 minutes of play, which is just bananas. Like I just don't understand how that's a real thing. And
because he's like the baby goat, Joe. He's the baby goat.
He might be a little baby goat, but like all I know is that he demolished them the second half. Props to Steelers, they hung around for a bit, but I mean the Chiefs did what they do, and they just clobber inferior football teams. And good for them. And X, I 100% agree with you. That slow start is going to be key next week. If they go down and score a touchdown their first drive, they go 7-0 or something like that. They should. If they win the toss, Andy Reid should go, I want the football, and let Mahomes go out there and set the tone. That's what they should do. And yeah, I agree. It's going to be an absolute shootout next week, or Sunday actually. So I'm excited about that. But yeah, good game by the Chiefs as expected.
All right, and we have our last game of the wild card weekend. We're gonna get through this one pretty quickly. Another blowout. Kind of a more unexpected one, kind of a sad one. Actually very sad to watch. The Cardinals came up very short against the Rams, and it was kind of a hard game to watch. And I mean, at one point, the only reason I stuck around to watch was for the commercials at halftime. So we're just gonna blow through this one real quick, 30 seconds each, because we got time running out on this Zoom call. Joe, let's finish off with you.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of, we talked about monkey up the back thing for the Cowboys, and I mean, this was big for Matthew Stafford. I think it's huge for them going into the next week. Some big time momentum. And go for the Rams. The Rams came out and played. They looked at the team that everyone thought they'd be at the beginning of the season. The Cardinals look like the team everyone thought they'd be at the beginning of the season, where just they're overmatched by better teams. Kyler Murray's got a bright future. They need DeAndre Hopkins back, and they need a legit number 2. They don't have one. Maybe more will become that, but they need to answer some questions and to fix some rosters. But yeah, good for the Rams. It'll be a good game next week between them and the Bucks.
And X, what are your thoughts on this one?
My thoughts are pretty much the same as Joe's. The Rams showed that they were a better team, that they're legit contenders for the NFC Championship. I think the Cardinals had a good season. I think the collapse at the end is a little concerning, especially going to next season. Next season, they're going to have to come up with the same energy as they did this season, because the Rams, the 49ers, the Seahawks are going to try to bounce back. So it's going to be tough.
Moving forward, we're going to be looking at the Bills versus the Chiefs, the Bengals versus the Titans, the Bucks versus the Rams, and the Packers versus the 49ers. Wow, we're already down to our final 8. It's amazing how quickly it all changes. But I'm pretty sure all of our Super Bowl contenders, except for X, did you say who'd you have going to the Super Bowl? You have the Patriots going to the Super Bowl? Oh yeah.
I thought the Patriots were going to be Bills. I was completely wrong about that, but I did not have them go to the Super Bowl. Get crazy.
I mean, you look crazy for picking the Pats to beat the Bills now. But you know what, Bills, Chiefs. Let's break that game down first. Who do you guys think's gonna win that one? X, we'll start with you, considering you picked the Pats to beat the Bills. How do you see this one ending?
I think the Chiefs can't start slow. I think you said it earlier. I think if they win the coin toss, they got to take the ball. They got to set the stone really early. But I think this is going to be a shootout. I think this is going to be back and forth the entire game with defensive stops and great plays. But I think the Chiefs pull it out. I think they pull it out 41-35. So I think the Chiefs pull it out. I think it's going to be a very good game, though. I'm very excited for this one.
High scoring game. I'm excited for it too. It's gonna definitely be a shootout. Got 2 quarterbacks with amazing throwing accuracy deep, and got a good receivers that like to run deep. Joe, where do you see this game going? Who do you see winning?
I think the Chiefs in the end will squeak this one out. I 100% agree with that. I think it's going to be a shootout, high scoring game. I think my score, I got a 36-34 win for the Chiefs. Like a game-winning field goal sounds about right. I actually think the Bills are going to get off to a pretty nice start. They did that last year in the AFC title game. They're up 10-0 early. I think they'll get off to a good start. I think that they'll continue to score, but I think the Chiefs are just too high-powered. I think there's too many weapons. I think Mahomes is just too good. Not that the Bills aren't. And the Bills definitely jacked up their team this offseason to beat the Chiefs. That's literally it. That was their main goal. They knew that's the only thing standing in the way. So I think this will be the AFC Championship game, pretty much. And I think the Bills will come to play. I think it's going to be there going to be points in the game where you go, the Bills are going to the AFC Championship game. and they're playing whoever the hell comes out of there. Actually, you already know at that point, but yeah, I think it'll be a good one. I think it might even be a classic. You never know. But yeah, I got the Chiefs coming out. I think Mahomes is too good. I think Allen needs another year, maybe another legitimate number 2, because Sanders and Beasley and Gabe Davis are not the answer there.
Yeah, no, I think unfortunately the Bills are going to be a team that's just a product of wrong place, wrong time for this entire time Patrick Mahomes is playing and potentially the entire time he's in the AFC. Because the Chiefs are going to have the better team with Patrick Mahomes. They have the best QB in the AFC right now, arguably the best QB moving forward in the entire NFL, depending on when Brady decides to stop playing, if he ever does, or if time ever catches up with him. And just looking at the rest of the AFC, there's not anyone else really standing in their way for the Chiefs. I mean, I don't think any of us really expect the Bengals or Titans to beat the Chiefs moving forward. And I think like you said, the winner of this game will probably go on to the Super Bowl, but I don't think it's going to be the Bills just because Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. The Chiefs' biggest issue is their defense, and their defense has been kind of turning around recently. So, moving forward to the second game of the AFC, Bengals Titans. I see that this game is meaningless after what we just talked about, honestly. But I'm gonna go with King Henry's back for this game, so I'd like to see him fight for a chance to go to the Super Bowl. It'd be nice to see the Titans potentially get to the Super Bowl. I'd love to see Julio get to the Super Bowl again. It'd be cool. It'd be definitely cool to see that. X, what are your thoughts on this game?
So I think this game's going to be the opposite for the Bengals. I think the Titans are going to come out and kind of smack them in the mouth a little bit, and then the Bengals are going to pull it together, but they're not going to be able to overcome the Titans. I think the Titans defense is going to absolutely pounce on Burrow in the beginning of the game, and they're just the Bengals are going to have to make the right adjustments. So I think we'll see how good their coach is, see what he whips up after they go down. But I think the Titans pull this one out. I think it's going to be a pretty close game, though. I think 28-24 is my final score for that one. Titans off to the AFC Championship.
So you get their ass kicked by the Chiefs. Joe, what are your thoughts on this upcoming Bengals Titans game where the winner will go to be slaughtered?
Well, I think the Bengals, whoever they play, if they play the Bills or the Chiefs, would get slaughtered. They're not ready for that moment. But I think the Titans, I think they will win. I actually agree with X, the beginning part there. He said they're gonna like punch him in the mouth early on. I think that'll continue throughout the game. I don't think the Bengals are gonna keep this very close at all. I actually was early in the week when the matchup first came out. I was like, you know what? I mean, I think the Bengals can keep it close, but as the week's gone on, I'm starting to realize that the Titans are just a lot better. They're way better coached. The quarterback advantage is definitely in Cincinnati, but I don't know. I don't think that defense is ready to stop anything going on there in Tennessee. They're healthy. A.J. Brown is an absolute monster, and Julio Jones ain't too bad himself. He's kind of had a down year, but he's been hurt all the time. He can't stay healthy. So that week off definitely probably helped him. I think Tannehill's a little underrated. I think he can run the ball very well. So I think the Titans will win like a 31 to like 21 game, but doesn't feel like 10 points. And I actually think that the Titans, although I said that the winner of the Bills Chiefs is going to go to the Super Bowl, I think the Titans could give either of them a decent game. I think the Titans are like something just to brush off on. The Titans are still a good team. Derrick Henry is playing like he could. The Titans have beat both the Bills and the Chiefs this season. I know it was early in the year, but they beat them both. So they already have that mojo. They already have that confidence and that swagger. I don't think the Titans are something we can just go like, yeah, they're not going to do anything. But like I think the Titans are going to win this game, and I think it'll be a decent AFC Championship game between the Chiefs or Bills against the Titans. I think either of those teams would edge them out, but I think it'd be a decent game. And I got the Titans win this one pretty easy.
Yeah, I think so. Mainly, I see the Titans doing this because with listening to both of you guys, I kind of like was thinking to myself, I feel like the Bengals and Titans are probably the most comparable teams against each other right now, in the sense of like they both have QBs that are kind of like, I don't know, different, obviously different stage of their career, but definitely a more underrated sense in terms of like success per what they'll potentially do in the playoffs. Because I don't think anyone expects Joe Burrow to lead his team to a championship. I don't think anyone's expecting Tannehill to be the guy that leads the team to a championship. And then you have running backs. You have two of the best running backs in the league. You definitely have the two best running backs in the playoffs, I'd say, in this game, in this the Bengals Titans game. And then receivers, you have a star receiver in Brown, and you have a rising star in Chase. I mean, it's kind of like they're very similar teams, just at different stages. I kind of see the Bengals to be what the Titans are now a few years from now. Like the Bengals will be that team, just with a better QB than their running back. It's kind of like that's like the flip flop. But again, the Bengals, you already did all you needed to do at this stage of your young team. Your three best offensive weapons are all 25 or younger, right? I think Mixon's only 25 right now. So
T. Higgins too.
yeah, and Higgins, yeah. No one's expecting you guys to win this game. Just go out there, give it your best shot. And if you win, but if you win, then that's great. Just know you're probably gonna be sheep to the slaughter against the Chiefs. Definitely, if you play the Chiefs, they're gonna tear you apart. And then the Bills, they'll probably tear you apart too, because they tore apart the Patriots defense, and Patriots defense is probably more equipped than the Bengals defense is right now. But now we move on to the NFC to see the Bucks versus Rams. That's probably gonna be the best game. I think the Packers are probably gonna be more favored against 49ers. So let's break down the Bucks versus Rams right now. Joe, since we started with X last time, we'll start with you, the Tom Brady stan. Where do you see this game going?
So this is gonna be a hell of a game. I think there's a chance this game could actually be better than that Chiefs and Bills game if things pan out right, because both the Bills and the Chiefs have like that explosive potential where one of them could just like the Bills last week, and actually the Chiefs to a point too, just kind of go off and completely outscore the other team and win by 15. You know what I'm saying? So like, and the Bills have like the best defense in the league by ratings. So I mean, you never know. But with this game, I think that Matthew Stafford he's gonna play well. And I think that if this was the first game of the playoffs and they got a bye, I think the Bucks I'd pick them clearly, because I think that Brady would come in and be just a better quarterback than Stafford, and he is a better quarterback, and he'll probably play better on Sunday. But I think Stafford gained a lot of confidence from that win over the Cardinals, and he'll play well. The defense is ready; they got legit superstars. And I think the Bucks, and we were talking about the Bengals and Titans being similar teams. I think the Bucks and the Rams are similar teams. The only difference is the quarterback. The quarterback for the Rams hasn't proven anything yet, because he's always been stuck on teams that are trash, like the Lions. The Lions are a terrible organization. And Brady, I mean, they're both superstars right now. Brady's the best quarterback of all time, one of the best in the league right now, maybe the MVP, who knows. But I don't know. I think it's going to come down to the final possession. I think whoever has a better second half, I think will win the game. I think the first half is going to be kind of meaningless. Not meaningless, but I don't think it's going to tell you anything. I think the Rams could be winning 21-10, and the Bucks could still win by 10 points. Because I think that it could be like one of those games where just the Bucks don't have the same firepower, like with the Godwin's gone and the AB's gone, but I think that'll hold them back a little bit come future matchups, and that'll definitely hurt them. But I think that Tom Brady's too good. He's going to get them over the hump of the Rams. The Rams already beat them, so I don't think Brady's losing twice to them, especially now being at home. So I think the Bucks will win like a 31-27 game. I think it'll be a good one. I think it might be a game-win touchdown pass, like 5-ish minutes left. Just hope that the Bucs defense, which is getting healthier, can stop the Rams. So I think that's what we got here.
Yeah, I definitely think Tom Brady's destined to at least go to the championship game. I don't know if he's destined for the Super Bowl, but he's definitely destined for the championship game. And it's definitely the Bucs game to lose. Obviously, they're at home. You have the guy that could be MVP this year again. And I don't know. It's just, are the Rams really ready for this? Are they? Because I mean, they showed they're ready to beat the Cardinals, which is a team that looks like a shell of themselves since like week 9, basically. But X, what are your thoughts of this game?
I think this is going to be an OT thriller game. I have this game going to overtime. I think these two teams are very talented. I think both teams kind of have a lot to prove. I know the Rams do. The Rams are Super Bowl or bust this year, and they want to prove that on the field. So I think they're going to try to prove that. I think this game goes into overtime. I think the Rams win the coin toss, and Matthew Stafford just takes one long drive down the field to win a game with a touchdown. So I think 36-30 in OT is going to be the final score. I think the Rams pull it out and upset the Bucs on the road.
I would love to see I would love to see the Rams win just because like the stories on that team, I think are just, it's better stories. And if they go to the Super Bowl, it'd be an amazing story. I would be rooting for Matt Stafford at that point for him to win at home in the Super Bowl. It'd just be fantastic for the city of Los Angeles and for the organization, dude. The entire fan base that they would come from that Los Angeles football would be huge again. And it'd be so good. I would love to see that. And you know what? It's the NFL, so maybe rig the game a little bit. Maybe.
How crazy would it be too? Like
2 years in a row.
Never had a team ever host a Super Bowl, like their own home stadium, and now have it 2 years in a row. That'd be just weird. It doesn't make sense.
It'd be kind of ridiculous.
That'd be kind of cool. That's a cool storyline.
It'd be a great storyline. And it's kind of like I mean, you got Odell on the Rams now. Like the storyline's there. Like if you want to have fans go crazy, no matter like if you want fans that have no interest in the Rams to cheer the Rams on, if you want to build fans for an entire city, a large market that doesn't have that many fans, you rig this playoffs so the Rams win. That's all I got to say about that. I'd buy a Rams jersey. Bengals. That'd be oof. That would be a fun Super Bowl to watch. That'd be the Super Bowl where I'd be like, I'm happy with any of these teams winning. I think there's only
smoke the Bengals.
It'd be a blowout.
That would be a terrible game. I would never want to see that.
And it'd be so heartbreaking if the Bengals beat the Rams. That would just be like that would be like the worst feeling ever. You'd be like, damn, they lost in LA. No, but X, what you said, that it kind of sounds like a story. It sounds like a movie. Like what you said sounds like the beginning of like the Rams blew out this team that everyone thought it was going to be a game. They blew them out. That's like Act 2 is them clutching it up against the team they thought they were going to lose to. And then the final act is them like barely squeaking it out against these next two teams, the 49ers and the Packers. Joe, we'll kick it off with you. Who do you think's going to win between the 49ers and the Packers? Jimmy G versus Aaron Rodgers.
I think the Niners are going to keep it close. I hate to say it. I mean, this is like the second straight round where I've picked all the home teams. And it almost worked out for me in the first round. If it wasn't for the Niners beating the Cowboys, I would have got them all right. But I don't know. The Packers are too good. They're not going to lose in the divisional round. If they're going to lose, it's going to be in the Super Bowl or the NFC title game. And that's not saying anything against this Niners team. I think they've gotten healthy. I think there's still a bright future there. It's a good nucleus. You'd add a couple more defensive pieces. And I think they need to get Trey Lance ready to take over because I think he has big play potential. But Jimmy G hurt his shoulder now, and it's kind of similar play to what he actually. I was watching the interview, so he didn't want to put his thumb on the ground. It's a similar injury to, or like looked like a similar injury to the one he suffered when he was starting here, like that week 2 Miami game when Brady was suspended those 4 games. So I think the Niners will keep it close. It's a good defense there in San Fran. I think they run the ball at will, and I think that'll help them. I think it'll be a close, like 17-13 game in the fourth quarter. Advantage Packers there, but I think the Packers will put together a drive or two. And I got 27-16 final Packers win. And I think we got a Brady Rodgers NFC Championship game coming up again.
Yeah, Packers taking for you. All right, X, what are your thoughts? Who do you think is going to take this one away? Packers or 49ers?
So I think the 49ers are going to start off strong. I think they start to scare the Packers a little bit. I think they get up by like 2 scores. But I think the Packers pull it together, and then they come out with a big win. I think my final score is going to be like 34-17. I think it's going to be pretty obvious win for the Packers. Nothing against the 49ers, but I think, as Joe mentioned, they just need a couple more pieces to win games like this. But I think they do start off strong. I think they scare a lot of bettors. But I think the Packers pull out a comfortable 34-17 win.
Yeah, I think we're going to be seeing the Packers win as well. I don't know. I think it's going to be it might be a little closer. It might be like 27, 20-something, 28. I mean, something high 20s versus low 20s victory, like probably a touchdown difference. Because I think the Packers kind of fall flat sometimes when they should really take it away. Mainly because, I don't know, sometimes their run game just sucks. And that's coming from a guy that had Aaron Jones on his fantasy team. Rodgers, obviously, he'll pull it off. I don't expect anything less. And if Garoppolo's injured, hey, maybe we'll see a miracle. Maybe we'll see some magic, some Trey Lance magic, from one trade to another. If Trey Lance steps onto the field, I'm becoming a 49ers fan for that entire game. And everything I just said is pointless because then at that moment, I will believe the 49ers will win. Nothing.
I'm rooting for the Niners. I hope the Niners win.
I'd love to see Trey Lance
whoever
win.
starts. I don't want to see the Packers.
I only want to see
as
Trey
a Brady fan.
I want to see Trey Lance versus Jordan Love. I want Jordan Love versus Tom Brady. I want Jordan Love versus Tom Brady NFC Championship game.
Oh yeah, what an absolute shootout.
But that brings an end to our playoff preview and our playoff recap, that whole cluster of football. And that's going to move us to a different sport where you try and shoot a ball instead of throw a ball. It doesn't make any sense. Basketball. NBA trade deadline's coming up soon. I was just wondering what you guys think about some potential trades that might happen. Do you guys see Ben Simmons getting traded anytime soon? Do you see him getting traded this season? Just quick answers. We'll power through these real quickly. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, he'll get traded, but not this season. I think it'll be an off-season thing. I don't think anyone's going to take a guy that hasn't played at all this season. And they're still probably asking for a lot. I think someone will bite this offseason. I don't know who it will be. I hope it's not the Celtics, unless the Celtics can get some shooters around Ben Simmons. I think Simmons is a good point forward, as Skip Bayless would say about Tim Duncan. So I don't know. I don't really have a.
Do you just compare Ben Simmons and Tim Duncan?
No. Skip moment. But yeah, he'll get traded, but not this season.
X, what are your thoughts on Ben Simmons potentially getting traded this season?
I agree with Joe. I don't think it's going to be this season. I think it'll be very early in the offseason type of thing. I don't know where specifically. I don't have any guesses, to be honest with you.
I'm thinking NBA draft, New York Knicks for their first round pick, and somebody on that team that probably doesn't want to be there anymore. RJ Barrett.
Toppin. Obi Toppin.
Obi Toppin and RJ Barrett so they can bring in Zion.
Another guy's ticking me off right now.
Yeah.
Get in the damn court. Start playing some basketball. They draft you one tough
He's
player.
actually recovering. He's actually in I mean, imagine
I
he comes
know.
back and he gets hurt. Come on. But he is
I'm
in
not so
terrible
mad
shape.
at him as
He's
I
in
am like
terrible shape.
Ben Simmons. I'm just
Yeah.
pissed off. Like he looks like
Yeah.
he's been eating donuts all offseason.
Yeah, Zion's in terrible shape. But
Dude, he's end up gonna be like Shaq's size, but can do 360 windmills.
yeah, no, probably, hopefully. I'd love to see Zion do well. But speaking of Ben Simmons, there's people that are also thrown into trade discussions involving getting Ben Simmons, and that's James Harden recently, as there's been some news that James Harden might be willing to leave the Brooklyn Nets in this offseason. And honestly, I do not blame him. That entire organization has been a joke since the day he got there. What are you guys' thoughts on James Harden potentially getting traded this offseason?
I think it depends on how the playoffs go, to be honest with you. I think if they make a deep run, he'll probably I mean I think they still could win a championship. I think if they do win a championship, he'll obviously stick around. I think if they get disappointed in like the first or second round, he'll probably try to bounce, try to find somewhere new. But I think we have to wait till the offseason to really have an idea of what's really got to go on with him.
Mm-hmm.
I think that'd be actually a smart trade for both teams. Especially if like I know Kyrie can't play at home, which really sucks for the Nets. But like if somehow that he gets a clearance or he does get the vaccine, he can play at home. I think Simmons controlling the basketball and kicking it out to the Durants and the Kyries of the world would actually be a decent deal. Harden would also be awesome there with Embiid. A spot I actually would like to see Harden go this offseason, if they could get something done, would be the Atlanta Hawks. Him and Trae Young would be absolutely electric.
They'd be playing Steph. They'd be like playing Steph.
Yeah, I'd be so excited to watch that on the floor. Like you got your young Steph, like you talk about Clay and Steph, you get your young Steph and Trae Young. It was big comparison throughout the whole career so far. And then you got I think a better version and a more experienced Klay Thompson. I think the Warriors are a better team, obviously, but I think that would be huge for the Hawks. I think they'd instantly become one of the favorites in the East. I think they'd be a legitimate like NBA championship contender.
All right. Well, that will bring us to our last potential big name going out for trade. He's not the biggest name, but he's a name that if he gets traded to a team, he could really turn them into contender. Jeremy Grant. Pistons. I think it's Jeremy Grant, or is it Jerian Grant? It's one of the two of them. Aren't they? They're like brothers, right? Or cousins. They're related, I believe. But Grant from the Pistons, he has been in talks for trades since, honestly, I think they signed him in, or they traded however he got to Detroit. I feel like he's just been in talks for trades that entire time. And it seems like he might actually get traded this offseason. It seems not offseason, this season. And if he doesn't get traded this season, he's not going to be back on that team this offseason. From what he has said, he says he wants to sign with someone that is a team that he will be the primary focus. And I'm not sure if that's going to be with whatever team he gets traded to or some other team, but he definitely wants to get traded. Where do you guys see him getting potentially traded to, or do you see him actually getting traded this season?
I have two preferred destinations. If we're really going to believe that he wants to go, so we're going to be the primary focus, I think it should be the Thunder. I think there's a lot of good young players there. I think he could become a legitimate wing there, and he could help that team get better and better and better, because that team has about 1 million first-round draft picks over the next 3.5 years. So they're going to be young and good for a while. I think he has the opportunity to take them to the playoffs, get some experience while you're still bringing in young guys and packaging picks. A team that I want him to go if he wants to compete this year would be probably the Miami Heat. I don't know who you're going to deal for him, but I think him and Butler could coexist very, very well. I think that'd be a good spot for him. I'm not really sure where he'd fit in the rotation. That'd be definitely interesting. But the Heat are a good team, and they're just built deep. I think we kind of overrated how good they were when they made their conference championship or the NBA Finals run. I think that might have been their window right now, but there's still good talent in that roster. If they get a few pieces, then they could be the team that everyone thought they could be. So I think it's time to let go of some of your B. Pat Riley. I'm talking to you right now, man. Get rid of some of those little small assets. Deal for them. The Pistons are in a rebuild.
Trade Tyler Hero.
Yeah.
Trade Tyler Hero.
They should. That guy sucks.
He's awful. Let him be a star on Oklahoma City. Let him be a star with the Pistons, actually. I mean, X, what do you think about Grant? Do you see him getting traded this season? If so, where do you see him going to, or where would you like to see him go?
I don't know where I can see him going, but I'd like to see him go to a team that kind of just needs an extra piece or so. Like maybe like a team like Memphis would be a pretty interesting concept. Him and Ja would be very athletic, very like get like a lot of sparks going. Also another team like that, I think in the East would be like Chicago, something like that. I think rotation with him, DeRozan, and Levine, pretty solid.
That would be filthy.
So, yeah.
That team would be. I think that team would be favorites at that
point.
They
remind me of the Suns from last year. If they go and get him, they are the Suns from last year. Like that team, no one thought could do anything and doubted the whole playoffs.
If they got Grant and they didn't have to give up too much for him, if they give up like Kobe White, I know Kobe White is like he's a good young player, which it would be a perfect 1-for-1 trade. The Bulls don't really need Kobe White. They kind of have their core and their future where right now. Kobe White's kind of just a bench player for them because you got Levine and you got Ball, that's definitely your future. DeMar DeRozan is definitely your now. You have Vucevic, and if you bring in Grant, then you have a starting lineup that would potential all-stars out of all 5 of those guys in that starting lineup. Like, if Grant was on a good team, he could be an all-star, I'd say. But he's on a terrible team that doesn't know how to use them, and just like the worst team in the NBA. But that would be insane. I would love to see that. That'd be fun to watch. That'd be, man. I think they'd be potentially walking into the finals to play the Suns. And not the Suns. The Suns are the Warriors, and
I wouldn't say walking. Yeah, I mean, there's still Giannis and Durant in the way.
All right, Durant in the way. Durant is not in the way. He's not in the way right now. Okay, because their team's probably going to drop down to the bottom of the standings since he's going to be out for the next month and a half.
Okay, the reigning MVP, or not reigning MVP, reigning Finals MVP and champions are going to be.
That's what I'm saying. But that's what I'm saying.
And that's a bad man there in Milwaukee.
When you get Grant on that team, he is a good matchup to go against Giannis. Length, height, and defensively, Grant could do a lot of could help the Bulls out a lot. It's actually the GM of the Bulls. I don't know why the Bulls aren't like trying to force that trade to happen right now. Man, that's gonna bring us to the end of the main part of the episode today, or our show or video. And we're gonna talk about the play of the week to end it off. So I picked the play of the weeks we talked about earlier. We mentioned one of the plays. It's kind of a co-play of the week. One on the field and one off the field. We mentioned the catch by Micah Hyde, and obviously that was probably a better offensive catch than it was defensive, because it looked like he was diving for that, like he was going to catch a touchdown pass. It was beautiful, and you could see it. It felt like everything moved in slow motion when it was happening. And I'm sure he wasn't. It didn't even look like he knew where the ball was going. He just put his hands out, and he was like, "It's going right in my hands." And then let's talk about the amazing off the field play. Dak Prescott, even though he lost the game and he ruined the game, and he had the worst play of the week. He had the best off the field play, and it wasn't him giving money to the practice squad, as nice as that was. It was him giving credit to the fans for booing the refs and throwing trash at them. Let's go, Dak Prescott. Always keeping it classy, always there for his fans. But yeah, if you guys didn't see that, one of the best clips I've ever seen. it's going to be here to end off this video. And that's going to be it for this episode of Stupid People Talk Sports. Thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe. And Dak Prescott will close us out.
Yeah, it's sad. I mean, you're talking about a team, you're talking about men that come out each and every day of their lives and give everything to this sport, give everything to this game of football. Nobody wants to succeed more than we want to succeed. I understand fans and the word fan for fanatic. I get that. But to know everything that we put into this day in and day out, try our hardest. Nobody comes in the game wanting or expecting to lose. And for people to react that way when you're supposed to be a supporter, and be with us through thick and thin, that's tough.
You're aiming at the referees.
Yeah, they were at the referees. Well, shit, credit to them then.
That's what
Yeah. Credit to them.